In this presentation, we're going to take a look at configuring subsurface utilities annotation. The pre-configured annotation resources delivered with OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition include a multitude of examples ready for customization, automated annotation of subsurface utilities, as well as annotation labeling for customized labeling requirements. And you will see some examples here of different types of annotation that can be performed. The objectives of this training is to introduce labeling for subsurface utilities in OpenRoads Designer Connect Edition, and that includes automated labeling for plan and profile, and also using the Place Label tool for plan, profile, or cross-section. We're going to teach you how to create a text favorite for subsurface utilities, copying the SU text favorites to your standards DG and lib, creating an annotation group for a SU link or a pipe, creating an annotation group for a SU node, for example a manhole or an inlet or a catch basin, setting feature symbology links to the annotation groups, and also taking a look at profile frame annotation. The automated labeling for SU, for either a link or a node, they are associated through annotation groups in their feature symbologies. Those annotations are drawing scale aware. The automated plan view labeling available once they are drawn using the annotate model command. We also have automated profile view labeling, which occurs when profile sheets are created using the name boundary sheet tools. And we have automated cross-section view labeling. That is not available at this time. It is something that still is in the works. So let's take a look at how we can automate our subsurface utility annotation once we have everything set up. For automated plan view annotation, we simply go up to Annotate Model and accept to not do all drawing models, and accept again, and it will show our node and our link annotations. And this is live annotation, so for example, if I pick my node up and I move it, you will see the length of that pipe adjust. And so we'll accept that new location, and you'll see how the label automatically was revised. If I go into the pipe and, for example, change my start invert, you will see that node elevation update as well. Let's set that back. Now let's take a look at our profile annotation. So I'm going to open up my profile view, and we're going to cut some sheets. So we'll go to our place name boundary and go to our profile mode, and we're going to go ahead and cut a profile sheet here. And we'll tell it to go ahead and create the drawing. We'll pick our first link, tell it to start at the beginning, and you could start sooner than that to give a little buffer at the beginning. We'll lock it to the end, and we'll select OK, and we will then take a look at our profile sheet, and we will see our annotation is there along our nodes and our links for our profile. So this is all going to be automated as we create those sheets in a profile. In addition to automated labeling, we can also manually label a particular link or node using the plan labeling tool. We use the element properties that provide an infinite possibility of annotation combinations, and we'll use text favorites or annotation cells. And then currently the only way to label SU features in the cross-section view is through the manual labeling process. So let's take a look at how we manually can label our SU nodes and links. Now let's take a look at our plan annotation. So we'll go to the Place Label tool, and I'm going to select an annotation cell for the plan view northern and eastern coordinates, and I'm just going to pick on a manhole and choose that label. And so there you can see how we can do manual annotations with a cell, with an annotation cell. Maybe you want to label the station and offset of the next one. We can select that, and you'll see that we can then return that station and offset value. Now let's take a look at our profile. You're going to be tempted to try to label in your profile view here, but that is just cached graphics in a temporary view. We don't want to label there. We want to label in our profile drawing model after we cut our profile sheets. But the same process would apply. You can do a cell or you can do a text favorite. I'm pick a favorite for this, and just to show you that we can reproduce this node label here manually. And so if I come in and place a node label, you'll see that that label comes at exactly what we'd had with our automated labeling if you choose to do things in this manner. Same thing like if I wanted to label this pipe, I select it it's going to return whatever information is in that favorite that I have chosen. So you'll see that. I can place it with or without a leader. Now let's take a look at, for example, if I wanted to go ahead and label the link name or the pipe name, I can select that. Of course, this can all be done in an automated fashion as well. I can come in there. That one actually happens to be pipe dash. I never did rename it for this demo. And then pipe dash 1 for the one over there on the right. And so you'll have the ability to go in and place manual labels. Now what about cross sections? We don't have automated labeling for cross sections yet for Sue. So let's show you what we have today. And so the same thing applies: leaders, no leaders, cells, or text favorites. And so if I go in and pick a text favorite for diameter and type of pipe, I select that and it reads that information from that link, and you can place that label. Then maybe I want to switch over just to a normal cross-section elevation label. So I can go to my text favorites and pick that, and then select at the bottom of my pipe there, and I can label that invert where I cut that section at, and so that you can see that elevation is there. To set up our annotation for subsurface utilities, we have to first master the concepts and development of text favorites. Text favorites are produced through the text editor of MicroStation, so they're based on platform technology. OpenRoads Designer adds the ability to harvest civil-based properties, currently accessed again through the text editor, and there are parent-child relationships with text styles. The insert field option shown here provides access to the element properties. You must have a subsurface utility node or link pre-drawn in the file to create the text favorite. So the steps are as follows. You want to select your text style, type any non-computed or static text like a prefix field, add the field computed text, save the label to a text favorite, and then rename the text favorite to an appropriate name. So let's take a look at a demo here for creating a text favorite for a link or a pipe. Let's make a cross-section text favorite that shows the link name and also the diameter and the type. And so I'm going to, in my text editor, pick my text style. I'm going to go to Insert Fields, Element Properties. You must have a pipe already drawn. So we're going to pick that pipe, and then we're going to pick the feature name. That'll give us the pipe name or the link name on the top line. We'll press Enter, and then I'm going to put in the diameter. So go back to Element Properties, select our pipe, go down to our physical subsurface utilities and select diameter. You can set properties there additionally if you want, for example, accuracy. I'm going to put in a separator here, a dash, and then go back to my insert fields. And in my insert fields, I'll pick my pipe again, and I'm going to scroll down in that same category to material and select OK. I'm going to select all this with my mouse, right click, and create text favorite, and accept that, and then go back into my drop down list. I'm going to rename that something like Sue XS, link name, diameter, type. Then we're going to close our text editor. I'm going to bounce over to my cross-section drawing model, and let's test this. So I picked my favorite, and I'm going to pick my pipe. I'm going to place that label. Now if I come back in here and if I make changes, it's going to pick up that information. So let's say I change the feature name. I'm going to change the description, which is ultimately the diameter, which forces it to reprocess. It's going to take on those additional changes in the label. We've initially created our text favorite in a DGN-lib where we have drawn a node and or a link. And that's not what we want in terms of our final deliverable within our workspace. We want that text favorite to be in a master text favorites DGN-lib. And so we have the ability with the text favorite manager to copy from one DGN library to another. And it's accessed through the text editor, you'll see there. Currently restricted to the civil fields, and we do support element properties for the element properties, but that's going to be next year in 2019, And it does provide a means to copy and paste between DGN libs, which is what we're going to be taking advantage of here. So let's take a look at how we can take our working drawing and put those text favorites over into our master DGN library. I made a copy of our network.dgn working file that has our SU information. I need to rename that so that it picks it up in our configuration of our workspace. So we'll give it a name, text favorites, same name as our other master text favorites. I'm going to put the word my in front of it just so we can distinguish the difference. And it does need to have the word text favorites in the file name. If we look at our configuration variable here coming up, you're going to see how it understands there's text favorites in the file. And so you'll see that we have a variable pointing to that, and it's looking for the words text space favorite in the file name. And so that's why we have to give it that specific type of name. Let's go ahead and open up our master text favorites file. And then we're going to go to place text. And then we're going to open up the text favorites manager. And you will see the one version we have created our singular text favorite. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy that text favorite. Then I'm going to go back up to our master, which is the file that we're in, right click and paste. And now that text favorite is part of our permanent workspace structure. And so let's go ahead and exit, and I want to delete that temporary copied working file that we used to bring the text favorite over. So let's delete that. And let's go back in now to our working drawing, which is this network1.dgn. And in my cross-section drawing model, I'm going to go just test this real quick. So I'll pick my text favorite, I'll select it. So you'll see it there. And then we'll select our pipe link and place our label just to show that it still works. Now that we understand how to create our text favorites, the next step in the process is to generate our annotation groups. Annotation groups are stored in the feature definitions DGN library that's required. We use the delivered examples as a starting point. You can access that through Explorer, and the annotation definitions are referenced into annotation groups. To create an annotation group, you want to right click to create the annotation group. You'll see the example there. Right click on the annotation group then to manage that group. The annotation group manager creates individual annotation definitions that can be shared with other annotation groups. An annotation group actually references the annotation definition. The annotation group manager uses the active drawing scale to control the size of the visualized text. And to get started, you want to start by copying and pasting an annotation from another DGN lib or create your own new entry. Do not leave this annotation manager dialog open when switching to a different file. After completion inside the annotation manager dialog, it is required to close the dialog to save your changes. Once your annotation group is created, you have to set that in the feature symbology properties. So the annotation group properties may be defined for linear features, point features, profile features, and surface feature symbologies. We'll take a look at a demo here of creating a link to an annotation group for a pipe label. Let's make an annotation group for labeling the pipe. And so just to check out a text favorite we prepared, the SU-pipe has our length and our slope label for us that'll be computed. Let's jump back over to where our annotation groups are stored. And we'll navigate down to our annotation groups, and under our linear plan annotation, I'm going to make a new entry here. We'll give that a name. Accept that. Then we're going to right-click Manage to open up our Annotation Manager. And we're going to add a new annotation for alignment annotation. And then give that a new name. Then in our location, we're going to set it to percentage of 50%, which will put it at the midpoint of our pipe. So we'll change that to percent and put in a value of 50%. Click out of that one. We're going to tell it we want to place text. And we will select an element template to control the symbology of that text. We're now going to have a leader, so we can collapse that dialog. We want to place our text along the link, so we're going to place it tangent, and we'll give it a little bit of an offset value or distance for that text label. We don't place a line here or a cell, so we can go ahead and collapse those. Then we want to pick our text favorite. So that's our Su-pipe, and then make it readable from left to right at all times. And so there's our example. Just to show you, if we want to change that offset back to 0, you can see our text was justified at center top in this example. Now remember that you must close the Manage Annotation dialog for it to save your changes. So we'll close it. And then we need to select that annotation group with our feature symbology property. So we'll go down to our concrete pipe, we'll go to properties, and we'll select our plain annotation group that we just created. And so we'll select that, and that completes the process. So now that when you plot your pipes, you will see that annotation along that link. Now that we've seen how to create an annotation group for a pipe link, let's talk about how we can do that then for a profile node. So let's look at an example for the profile node annotation group creation. Now let's take a look at setting up an annotation group to label a node in the profile view. We're going to take a look at using this text favorite Su-node, just to show you what the results would be. There would be our name, our ground elevation, and our invert elevation. So let's go back to our DGN-lib that has our annotations. And under annotation groups for the profile point, I want to go ahead and create a new entry. We'll give that a name. Go ahead and save that out, and then right-click Manage. We're going to add a new profile point annotation. Give that a name called Node Annotation. We're going to be placing text. We'll select our element template to control the symbology of the text. We don't need our leader here on our placement. It's going to be at an angle of 0. Let's give it just a little bit of a vertical offset. Don't have a cell. We want to pick our text favorite. Su-node. And we'll make sure that readable is turned on. And I also like to take the path out of the favorite so that way if you do change the DGN-lib file name, it'll still find it. Go ahead and close that to save our changes. Then we want to navigate over to our feature symbologies down to our point. And go in and find an example, for example, a manhole. I'm going to select that, and then in the properties, the profile annotation group here is what we're concerned about. And we will select our entry, which will then complete our process and label our node in our profile view. Delivered in our example workspace is also the ability to create a Su profile sheet with frame annotation. Frame annotation is essentially all of the annotation done along the bottom of the drawing. And so let's take a look at what's delivered and how that looks in terms of appearance. Let's take a look at making a profile sheet of a series of nodes and links. And so we need to make a utility run from links first, or a profile run. And so in Explorer Subsurface Utilities, we can go there and select that. And then we want to set our feature definition using the miscellaneous profile run entry. And so we'll select our two links, right-click to finish, and that'll create our profile run. Once our run is created, we can right-click on it and then open up a profile model, then to see our nodes and our links. If we want to show the existing pavement, we can select the Create 3D Cut, and we have two options on terms of placement. I'm going to just choose corners and select just above my first node and just below my last node. And so that'll show a cut of our 3D. So in this essence, it's showing our pavement in this example. Then we can go in and cut our profile sheet. So we'll go to our profile mode in our name boundary tool, and I have a new entry in the workspace for Su frame annotation. And we want to go ahead then and select our start location And I'm going to back that up a little bit so we have a little room at the beginning. So I'm going to put in -50 for our station, accept that, and then let it go to the full width of the sheet, accept that again, and that will go ahead and create our profile sheet. And just to see, you've got this annotation group included in the workspace called Sue Framed Profile. And then we'll take a look at the sheet that it gave us. And so we'll have all of our annotations down here. You can see some different examples that we've included. And all those decimals are controlled by the settings inside of Hasted. And then you also have your, if you want, you have your annotations along your pipes and your nodes as well that's included. This concludes our presentation on configuring subsurface utilities annotation. I hope that you find this helpful. And if you have any further questions or follow-up information you need help with, please do not hesitate to log a service request, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Thank you.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.